Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is episode 54, believe it or not. Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm Jerry. We have got a room full tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun. And tonight, co hosting is
Tiffany Olson. I apologize that I was 53 and 54. But this is the organization that is the dearest to my heart. So Tiffany Olson, I work at Mayo Clinic in project management. And I sit on the board for Elder Network as long as I also our gala chair for our annual gala. So tonight we have 3 of the members of staff with Elder Network. Let's start with Kathy. She is our executive director.
It's so good to be here. And I've been with Elder Network now for 6 years. I started in 2020. Wow, that was fun. And I love the work. Elder Network is near and dear to my heart. And I've learned so much. I got my caregiver consultant certification while I've been with Elder Network, and I'm a Pearls coach, which is helping people with depression. And I actually was a registered dietitian for a number of years, and it's served me very well in the work that I do with Elder Network, and just love it.
So,
Kate, are you up?
I can be up.
All right.
So I'm Kate Jarrett. I am the senior advocate at Elder Network. It's kind of the information and referral lady. And gosh, I started just a bit after Kathy in 2021. Actually, our staff has really grown since 2020. We just keep adding new people. It's awesome. And I'm kind of a comeback girl. I used to work at Elder Network long ago when I was young. I was an intern, and I spent a couple of years working with our founder, Mary Doucette, many years ago. So I'm happy to be back. My daughter, when I got this job, said to me, "Oh, Mom, you've got your dream job. You're actually a senior advocate now." So
that's sweet.
Yeah, so it's all good.
And I'm Holly Brown, and I've been with Elder Network 18 years, which is amazing and wonderful all in itself. Born and raised right here in Rochester, and love working with this population and this group of individuals at Elder Network. Like Kate said, we've had a lot of growth, and it's just been a real pleasure to see how the agency has evolved really over the years that I've been with them, and how we keep evolving and keep looking for ways that we can keep supporting older adults, 55 and better, and their family caregivers. And as a caregiver myself, that was really near and dear to me, and it just really felt like I could connect on a personal level with a lot of the folks that I was working with, which really doesn't make it feel like a job, but it's more of a payback of the heart, type of career. So it's been really lovely.
Holly was my first contact when I started volunteering.
Did she know you can't say no right away, or did that take time to figure out?
No, I think she knew right
Oh,
away.
right away.
This is your fit. And I was like, yeah, I think it is.
And years later,
Yep.
they were still together.
We're still doing it.
Still talking about it. So
That's awesome. Well, let's get a little history out of the way, just so people know. I heard near and dear often in this crowd, so that's great, and it was honest. I mean, you could tell it was genuine. So, but what is Elder Network? Someone, you guys pick. Someone give me. Okay, Kathy, tell me what is Elder Network?
So Elder Network is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're 38 years old. We started right here in Olmsted County with Mary Doucette, who was a public health nurse at the time. And what was happening was that she was seeing that there are very few services for older adults in the community. And the sad truth is that older adults were committing suicide at a much higher level than the rest of the population because they were hopeless and isolated.
Sure.
And so she started a peer-to-peer counseling program, one volunteer, older adult to another. And from there, we've just really grown over the years based on what people needed. And so we've grown to address those gaps and needs that have come up. And so we started right here in Rochester, and we've grown. Now we serve all of Olmsted County, Dodge, Goodhue, Wabasha, and Winona. And the programming is a little bit different depending on the county, but we really do our best to meet everybody's needs and or refer people to services in the community that's going to help them.
I was going to ask, so you work closely with like social services, different and other programs that cater to the older generation?
Yep. We
Okay.
try to work with everybody who can help meet a need for our
Sure.
folks. All
But it
comers are
started out as a
welcome.
peer-to-peer, not
Yeah.
okay. I did
Yeah.
not know that. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. That's really interesting. Well, I mean, what a great. I mean, hookup is not the right word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. The way to join people together that have similar needs. That I mean, really, if you're lonely, I mean, two lonely people, that's a great connection to. You know, I mean, they can help each other. That's
Well, and think
yeah,
about it, Jerry. I think it was harder for older adults to take advice from young people,
right, right,
right?
oh,
So
yeah,
by matching them with a peer who gets it,
right,
who's maybe walked in a similar shoe, they could get a lot farther in goal setting or just looking at like, oh, I can trust this person
yeah,
because they're more my age.
yeah. Well, and you know, one thing I think about this from time to time. One of the most annoying phrases to hear as when you're in need, whatever your need is, right? Whether it's money, it's relationship, it's whatever. When some I know how you feel.
Mm.
And but the other side of that is nobody says I know how you feel to be rude. Everyone says it with the best intentions. I don't believe anyone has ever said I know how you feel to belittle someone. You know, it's said with good intention, but it's hard to take it with good intention, you know? So it's one of those, because there's a lot of phrases, we're in Minnesota, the passive aggressive. There's a lot of friendly phrases that are not meant to be friendly, and we know what they are, you know, lots of them. And so they're, you know, they sound friendly, but they're not meant that way and they're not taken that way. But this is one I think it's truly usually almost always meant to be positive. But, and now, like you said, if you take, you know, a grandparent taking that from a 20 or 30 something and then add that to the mix, you know, that dynamic, boy, all of a sudden it's on borderline offensive, you know, to say, I know when you look at your grandparent who, you know, I mean, most of their friends, their spouse, you know, maybe even one of their kids is already gone. And then you have a 30 something saying, oh, I know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
You have no
No
idea.
clue.
Yeah, you have no
No clue.
idea.
Yeah.
So, and so do you guys do any kind of, I don't know if training is the right word, but consulting with um, your younger people that are stepping in to help out the older people to kind of guide them? I mean, into not saying those kinds of things, or
Sure.
you know, is
Yeah.
that something that's part of the program a bit?
Yeah, we do a pretty extensive volunteer
Oh,
training when people come
okay,
to be a volunteer. So
awesome. I think that's important because, like I said, there's a lot of good intentions out there that still may not come across that way. You know that, and you don't want to discourage people from doing it. You know, but on the same token, let's do it right.
Well, and I
Right.
think vetting for similar interests, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I had mentioned, Holly was who paired us with our first person. He was, turns out, the spitting image of my dad, which was perfect. Because Jariah had no fear about his big, long, scary beard and, you know, the burliness of him. But it was interesting in that, like, let's pair you up with similar conversations, or let's pair you up with similar interests, or if you're somebody that wants to go run and walk and carry on, and this person just wants to sit and play cribbage, this might not be the right mix. Or if you want a man that knew war things, because that's your
Sure.
favorite thing to talk about, like, so that it's those things to make sure that the interests
So
are similar.
it's not just a warm body
Right.
Absolutely not.
stick you with
No.
somebody that can hold a conversation. It's there's a lot of thought that goes into this.
Yes.
we call it a match.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No,
And
that's fantastic.
we've been paired with 3 different people. There was a 4th that we tried, and she was interested, but she had some vision issues. So her and I met, and she knew that my daughter was going to come along with, and initially was interested. And then after the fact called and was like, no, I'm too scared with my, vision situation that a little person might
Oh,
bump into me. So then we moved and pivoted and found
sure.
a different, that everybody was comfortable with.
Yep.
So
And so the program that Tiffany is in is called Friendly Visitor. And so, yeah, we match people. We've been lucky enough sometimes to match a person who wanted to do woodworking, and
Oh.
we had a volunteer who did woodworking. And
Wow.
if they like to play games, we'll try and match them with somebody who does that. And if they like to go out and do, free fun things in the community, we
Sure.
try to make that match so that it's fun for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I didn't even think about that. Of course, you guys came in the front door. The back door, there's a detached garage back there, and we built that in like 2011. It's a woodworking shop. That's what it's a big. It's like a 3.5 stall garage, but yeah, that's kind of neat that you'd have that. I didn't think about that when.
can I send my Jarrell to your garage? Because he doesn't think ours is sufficient.
I think I have a volunteer application.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right,
I can fill it with
right.
older folks that want to do woodworking
Well,
classes.
that garage has morphed over the years. That's where we started Black Diamond Armory. The gun shop started in there before it went to a store. Right now, all the woodwork you wouldn't know is a wood shop. Right now, it's all Design HQ.
Yeah.
So that's but yeah, it's wall to wall. I mean, there's almost 2,000 pieces of apparel in there, shirts and hoodies and whatnot. Blank pieces ready to go. So yeah, we have pretty good turnover on it. But yeah, that garage has been the springboard for a few
Many
businesses.
things.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. But that's pretty cool to. I didn't even think about that side of it, the hobbies, and even more so. Yeah.
I would say, when someone calls in and is interested in what does Elder Network provide,
Yeah.
I think we're always good as it. Well, tell us what you're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? So we get
Like
their
the used
story.
car salesman. How much is that? Well, how much have you got?
Like we have this
Oh,
and we
yeah.
have this and we have this. So, it's nice to go, well, what do you kind of need, or what are you looking for? What made you call in today? And so by
Yeah.
hearing their story, right? So then we can kind of go, okay, well, it sounds like our friendly visitor would be great, or our technology assistance might be a good fit, or a ride, our ride
Yeah.
program, or in my case, it's caregiver respite services.
Sure.
And we do what I consider an extensive intake.
Okay.
So when we go out and meet these folks and sit with them in their home and really get to know them, everything we're asking is for a purpose.
Sure.
And it is that hobbies and interests and background, and where did you grow up, and what can you still do independently? What are you open to letting somebody help you with?
Yeah.
All of those things help us determine really how we can share it with a volunteer or other staff of, hey, I just met somebody and I think you'd be a great fit for them. This is what they need. Right. So we do
Yeah.
take a lot of time with our clients to really get to understand their needs and to know them.
Okay.
And so I always say, this is not a cookie cutter type program. This is not a call me today and you get help tomorrow.
Yeah.
Usually.
Right.
Because we want to make sure that everyone's comfortable. And I will
So it's a
say,
process.
it
I can't
is.
imagine that just, yeah. You don't just jump in and you go here, you go there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing with respite, right? Like, it's the family that needs some support, and the volunteer that's helping support, and then the person that they're taking care of. So you've got to put all those pieces together and make the best fit for several people.
Yeah. And one of the things we started doing, and I don't know how long we've been doing this, but we found, because there's a lot of folks that say never had any services before, Elder Network might be their first try
Well,
of
sure.
in-home service. And so one of the things that we added to our intake process in the onboarding is what we call a meet and greet. So once I think I have the right person for you, I'm going to bring them over to your house with me.
Sure.
We're going to sit down, powwow for maybe a half hour, get to know each other, make sure everyone's comfortable. If everyone's comfortable, then we move forward.
Sure.
And I don't know how many other agencies do that.
Right.
And I really am proud that we take the time to do that. And I've had so many families say, oh, you guys really know what you're doing. Like, I feel really confident to move forward with you because you've really thought about a lot and you've already kind of know my situation before you even know me. And so, that just means really a lot to us to
It should.
we've taken
Yeah,
the
that's
time to really get to know our community and get to know seniors, and we care, so that we can make, hopefully the best fit. So
right.
it's long term
Mhm.
is good.
We have, my wife does daycare, as you guys saw when it come through the house, but like 2 or 3 of her daycare parents are social workers, and she's had quite a few over the years. And it's heartbreaking, their stories, because you talk to one social worker, and like to your point, with what you're able to do, I mean, this is their full-time job. They're not able to do that because they have so many clients
Mhm.
and not that many hours, you know? So that's really encouraging to hear that part of the story. So a question I have is, and this is probably a two-part question, because obviously you have volunteers, and then you also have the older folks that need some help or would like some company or a ride or whatever it is, or care. How do you how do you get a volunteer? How do they give me an example of a couple different ways that they show up at your door, or why does your phone ring, with a volunteer?
Well, the big one's word of mouth.
Yep.
So
Okay.
when we have a good volunteer, our board, they're talking it up and telling their story and what they gained from volunteering for us, and that
Awesome.
is a great help. And then we're out in the community. We're at events all over to tell our story and let people know what we're doing. And
Awesome.
so,
But how about the other side with the older folks, the grandpas and the grandmas that could use some company and help? Same thing.
I think you touched on it with your social workers. Like they're our biggest
Are
advocates,
they?
which is
Okay.
amazing because they pair people to all the services, like
Sure.
go to Elder Network for this piece, go to Family Services for this piece, go to, if you have financial support, there's paid services. Like they do an amazing job of, and same with, those in the hospitals and such they see the need and they spread the word. So,
right.
But now that had to take a lot of effort. I mean, 38 years was a long time, but that had to take a lot of effort on your part to kind of cultivate those relationships
mhm.
in all those places, right? I mean, that didn't just happen. I mean, it didn't just start, right? I mean, that had to be
Right.
your fault, right? Someone had to think we should make some relationships around and let these folks know that, I mean, because really at that point, I mean, man, you've got an older person that needed help. You've got a volunteer that feels good at what they're doing. You've got a social worker that's overwhelmed that now can not necessarily take someone off their plate, but I mean, it definitely lessens their load and they can feel good about it. It's one thing for them to just lessen their load, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
not feel
meeting
good
those
about it.
needs, right? I mean, it's
Right,
all about meeting needs.
right.
Yeah. And so my role at Elder Network as the senior advocate is really meeting the needs. So we have lots of lists, and I get every call from the caregiver. We do a very good job at Elder Network of taking care of caregivers and helping them be better for the people that they're caring for. And it was interesting you'd say about the social workers. So they do have a very full plate, and there are
Yeah.
some things they can't do.
Right.
And so, in terms of the forms assistance, that's a big piece of what I do. And an awful lot of people from the adult services intake line to the social workers themselves will call and say, "Hey, can you help this person?" Because when you do a medical assistance long-term care elderly waiver application,
That's a mouthful.
we were joking today about the acronyms. So I'm trying not to use all of the acronyms. But when you do one of those applications, which is going to allow you to have services either in your home if you're 65 or older, and in an income that
Sure.
that is eligible.
Sure. There's boxes to check. I'm
Yes,
sure. Yep.
boxes to check. Actually, 33.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty overwhelming application, right?
Okay,
And it
yeah.
also is the application someone would use if you have someone and you need to give them care in an
Sure.
assisted living or senior.
So you help with that application?
I do.
So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, because I was going to
With your
say,
eyes closed by this point.
I would bet.
Maybe not eyes closed, but don't always need to read the question. Just
But I mean, that's got to be intimidating. That,
Well,
that
it's just a lot,
yeah,
and it's nice, and I was talking about this with the ladies today, just the fact that our caregivers that we're dealing with today are very competent people, right? A
sure.
lot of them are the daughters and the sons, and,
Yeah.
and they're doing a great job. But this is something they've never done, and it's a little scary. And so they look at it all and say, I called over to the county because I wasn't exactly sure. And they said, I said, well, don't you have somebody I can talk to about this?
Yeah, check
They
your
said,
email.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should call this lady. So it was very
Call
well.
Kate.
Yeah,
Kate, that's
okay.
great.
Yes, I believe my card actually might be stapled slightly that way.
Yeah.
So we need an elder network ad campaign. Call
Yeah.
Kate.
People already do.
And the thing about Kate is that she can actually go to someone's home and help them gather their proofs or their documentation that they need. She can read it to them if they have vision issues. Um,
So elder network doesn't, I mean, and here again, not trying to paint elder network like the bad guy, but I mean, but elder network doesn't shackle you guys to an office or a desk.
No.
You're out there really, I mean, not just over the phone, check your email, look at this. You're out there really, I mean, touching people, helping in their homes and making sure things work, that not just,
Oh yeah.
that's
And
great.
doing all the fairs that we, and tabling events to let people know what we're about. Also,
That's a lot of freedom. I mean,
yes,
that's really good. I mean, that's really good. You watch a lot of these nonprofits included, but businesses, they start out with good ideas and good processes. And then as it expands, we're running into that with SBR to a point where all of a sudden it's like, okay, when we had 3 chapters in Rochester, we had enough owners and investors to be in every group and, kind of manage things and oversee it. And it's like, okay, well, if we're going to have a one-off situation, it's still managed by an investor, an owner, something like that. Well, now we're getting to these chapters that are a few hours from home. We're not in them, and then they want to do things on their own. It's like, okay, wait a minute, that's not how we do it. And then it turns into, no, really, stop. That's not how we do it. Well, the next step is listen. Well, that's not who we want to be. We don't want to, like I said, we don't want to work. We don't want to be a company that is a company you wouldn't want to work for.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, we need some new strategies to make sure that we can get the message across and make sure that people understand how important the message is, that you need to follow this. And so I think it's great that after 38 years, well, I mean, that's the best way for me to think of it, is that you're not shackled to a desk or a telephone going, nope, I'm in the office from 9 to 5 and at 5:01, don't bother me. I'm not coming to your house. I don't have the time for this. I think that's great. I mean, as an organization, it says a lot about the company that you're with, let alone, obviously, the company doesn't work without you guys, without the people.
Well, and even the type of offices, right? Like our smaller counties, some of them are working from home and then going out to do things. So they don't necessarily have office space, but they still have the framework to
Sure. And the support of elder
that
network. Sure.
county in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is we're just very lucky to have a wonderful team who are very experienced. You have social workers and gerontologists and
What is that? That is a term I'm not familiar with.
a gerontologist. I'll let Kate tell it because
Okay.
that's her degree.
Oh, okay.
So
I
I
didn't
have
know
Her
a
that.
master's.
Yeah, I have a master's
Okay.
in social gerontology. So it was specifically to do kind of what we're doing, right?
Okay.
Knowing that aging is a process and that we have to care for people a little bit differently, just like, we have pediatric specialists, we have gerontological specialists.
Okay.
And so gerontology is the study of the aging process. And in our world, it's really, how do we meet those needs? How do we keep connected? How do we allow autonomy as well as we care?
Sure. Sure.
So it's really,
Because I can see how, I can see how you could upset someone when you have nothing but good intentions. And again, like we said earlier with the comment, but even with the help, I can see where it's a way. Yeah, I'm sure it's a way of making them feel like they've lost their independence, and when that's obviously not your intention. at all.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's really important is that we're not like just coming in and saying you need to do this or that. We're here to say, like Holly said, what is it that, you called us for a
Yeah,
reason. So what
sure.
are you struggling with? How can we help? And then we're suggesting, well, here are the options and letting them choose. Or, we may think after they've told us a lot that, gosh, they could really use a certain service. But they may tell you that, until I get a ride to the doctor, I don't want to deal with anything else.
Yeah.
And so you start where they're at.
Yeah.
And that respect for them and their choices is, really important to us. And they also trust us because we're a safety net, is what I always say, is that not only do we provide a program or service, but we want to watch out for people. So if a volunteer or one of our staff come to your home for an appointment that we were expecting to have, and they don't come to the door, we don't just leave.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we know where you are. Are you safe?
Sure.
Are you on the floor
Right,
in your
right.
in your home?
Does
We
it turn
have
into a
found
wellness check?
people who had an incident and maybe laid on the floor for a day or even two.
Yeah.
We found that. And so people really appreciate knowing that we're going to figure out where they are. We're going to call their emergency contact. And we may end up calling a wellness check and having the police come and make sure they're safe. And that's a wonderful service. They feel they trust us because we're looking out for them.
Well, and oftentimes with memory care, they're in some stage of can make decisions, but don't remember how to make decisions, that
Yeah.
piece. So that's always interesting. Like my favorite is when you said that you would accidentally have coffee with a daughter and a potential new client, and
Accidentally.
all the while it was, the intake process, but
Oh yes, we've
but
had to
they
get
felt like it was
creative.
their idea to get together with this nice new Holly that was at the coffee shop
I
too.
did that. I did that. Yes. Well, I'm recognizing how, as we have aged, and this is all of us, right? We're really proud of the choices we've made and the way that our economy is, I guess you would say, has brought people to have to make really tough decisions, right? And we're seeing, and I know some of the care centers and facilities are also seeing people waiting longer to move out of the home and into a place that has more options of care.
Sure.
But with that being said, I've had younger family members say, I'm living long distance. I'm really concerned. I want to know that they're okay and that they're safe, but they don't see what I see, right?
That was actually my next question was, do you have anyone that would call in and say, I don't need help, but I know someone who really
Sure.
needs your service, but it's not them calling. And I thought, because that could be very helpful, but could be very sticky too.
Yeah.
Sure. So
We run into
We have it all the time.
Kate and I have definitely had to
Yeah.
powwow,
Yeah.
about some really tough dynamics,
Yeah.
right? So another, umpteen of our roles that we do, I feel, Kate and I both can lead what's called family meetings, and I think it's underrated.
Okay.
I really do. A family meeting is an amazing opportunity for your team. I call it a tribe, but
Sure.
get your tribe together and talk about how things are going and what's everybody seeing, what's the hope for either the older adult or just everybody.
Yeah.
And I think when we can open it up and talk about, this is what I'd want when I get older. If we can all talk about those things more openly around our tribe, then it doesn't seem like we're focusing on just the older adult and what
Right.
they should or shouldn't do.
Right.
But it's more or less like, well, when I get to of a certain age, or I can't do something, or I don't want to, I think I'm going to tell people, right? Because we want to normalize being able to ask for help. And so family meeting is really allowing this space for everyone to come together and talk about things so that everyone's voice is heard and hopefully they can come to an agreement of next steps. Sometimes it happens quickly and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure.
And, Kate and I are there to kind of help just facilitate and make sure everyone at the table is heard,
I was going to say, so do you guys, with kind of a question maybe for the both of you, do you find that having one or both of you in the room almost, I mean, I don't want to call you a mediator, but to a degree, do you find that that does give more people in the room a voice that they wouldn't have if you weren't there? I mean,
I'd like to say yes.
I think sometimes
I would
it
think so.
does.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the questions to ask to
Right.
pull out
Well, and
the
I think it's
conversations that people
always-
didn't know they wanted to say.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear someone say something like, well, I may not have said this before, but I really feel, that
Yeah.
we should get dad help because whatever, or we should
Well, they
make
can-
these choices. And, because they feel validated that someone has just said, these are things that are a good choice.
well, but they can almost, I mean, again, good or bad, but they can almost kind of blame you for what they are saying,
Yeah.
that they could, if they said it on their own, they have to take responsibility for it. Well, now the stranger in the room or the new person in the room, the outsider, if you will,
Mhm.
well, you asked. So now that kind of validates me saying this where they just couldn't say it to grandpa on their own, or
Well,
Yeah.
and we kind of have criteria too. So, I think that goes a long way is, okay, there's somebody who is a third party, is not emotionally invested.
Yep.
And you're coming, and just like you did with us, Jerry, as you kind of laid out, here's how it's going to go today.
yeah,
Right. So that's what we do. This is our hope. This is kind of the steps that we're going to take. And this is my role to play in here. So I think with that being set up front, people are like, okay, if it starts getting off track,
yeah,
which it can,
I bet.
we're there to kind of say, okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back. That might be for another day because we're here to talk
Well, we're
about
human
dot,
beings.
dot, dot.
We like to deflect and not talk about the elephant in the room. But if I can show you I'm angry about something completely different, now we'll get all your look over here. It's like watching politics. Like look at here, don't look at what we're doing. Look over here. But
Sure.
but people, I mean, we're all wired that way to some degree. Of,
But I also think there's the big benefit of the family meeting can be what the kids think should happen or what the person that is focused on does or doesn't want to happen, but the mixed bag of services that Elder Network provides. So maybe you're not ready for this service, but you do want some support for getting to your appointments,
right,
or you do want some someone to come weekly to just be an extra person to visit. Or now with our new home program, you're not necessarily ready to leave the house you live in, but hey, let's have some meetings where we can talk about, how far in advance you need to get on assisted living,
Sure.
to even have that be a reality for you when you need it. So that's, I think, the other nice part is here's all the things we can help you with, and here's go ahead and pick what you want to work with.
Yeah, and it's starting.
Yeah.
Just get in. We've been having this conversation. We have an amazing respite program that's a group program.
Mhm.
And so Holly will meet with families and she will often, give this whole thing. And, we have the one-on-one companion program at Elder Network, which is doing respite in the home. But it's a little harder for us, to always fill that need. We have a wait list quite often.
Sure.
But for this group, you can say, oh, well, until we can meet your need with one-on-one, we could get you set up with group.
Yeah.
And I mean, who doesn't want to go hang out at McDonald's or
Caribou
coffee
Yeah.
with the guys? And, I know, there's people that meet at McDonald's, right? But so it's very, it just seems less, I don't know, like help,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Right.
It's really
It's
more
more social.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. More
It's
fun. More fun. More social.
And
Absolutely.
I find it has fit a need for folks that aren't ready to have someone in their home because that feels invasive,
Sure.
Sure.
right? And so I love the fact that we've been able to add this level of respite because it's like we're keeping them out in the community, we're keeping them engaged, they're meeting new friends,
Sure.
which I'd say in quotations, but it's a place for them to be them.
Right.
And still giving that family caregiver, care partner, support person, however you want to label
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
a break,
Right.
and go read a book or go take a walk or
Mhm.
go get your hair cut or go walk around Costco while we're sitting at Caribou, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And I love that because I think a lot of people are like, oh, hey, that does sound like a good time.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
check that out.
Yeah.
And um,
And it's the most beautiful thing. I mean, we had a group of ladies and they were missing gardening. And the companion and I searched and found garden plots with raised beds that was accessible for folks with mobility issues, and they planted and grew vegetables,
Yes,
and
they were
we
so
got
excited.
bags of tomatoes at the office, and it's amazing. And so the groups are for 3 to 5 people, and they can be any older adult, like these ladies, but also it's wonderful for people that have dementia because there's no wrong in the room.
Yeah.
You come together and they look like, I watched these guys, like they were old friends, have known each other forever. They're ribbing each other, they're telling jokes, they're playing games, and the families will say, I didn't know he could laugh anymore. He can't play games. What game is that? We want to play that game too.
That's amazing.
They just blossom. And so it's been a wonderful, wonderful tradition.
Well, and we painted the picture a little bit of the family meetings, like the reluctance, but I mean, obviously that's there, of
Mhm.
course, in some folks, but I got to believe that a majority are not reluctant to get help. I mean, am I right in that or wrong that most people welcome it more so than hands up,
yeah, I mean, we're busy.
standoffish?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
busy. It's
Yeah,
just,
I bet.
we have wait lists. I think that is
Yeah.
saying a lot.
Right.
People, what we're seeing though is that they may have waited longer
Sure.
than we would recommend.
Yeah.
Because we're
Well,
always saying be proactive and
Yeah.
do things early.
Yeah.
I will hear from time to time, and I want to share this because it might resonate with somebody who's listening today. But we'll give our spiel, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't need that. It's not bad enough yet." Why does it have to get bad at all? Right? So again, people's perception of what does my reality need to look like
Yeah.
before I say yes.
Yeah.
Right? So we're always trying to promote early.
Sure.
Do it while you'll still enjoy having a visitor or having someone come and teach you the iPad or, going to group respite or something like that. It's like, whatever it is, it's like, well, do it when you can still enjoy it.
Right.
Do it when they can actually still make friends.
Mhm. That's great
Don't wait
advice.
so long where they're not going to know who they're with, where they are, and why they're doing it.
Sure.
It might not be as meaningful. And so I really feel like our team of staff really is trying to help promote early prevention of burnout of whatever ... it
Sure.
is.
Yeah.
And don't wait.
Okay.
It doesn't have to get
That's
bad.
great advice. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
it's great advice. It's not a surgery. It's not. Yeah.
And we
No.
want to, if you go early and start something early, then you have more of the options available to you.
Sure.
And then you have more choice, and that's helpful.
Yeah.
If you get help from us before you can't afford your home anymore,
Right.
we may be able to put you in touch with the help that can guide and support you and get you some of the assistance
Yeah.
that might allow you to keep your home.
Sure.
And that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
The equity in your home is your bankroll.
Right.
And
Well, there's a lot of folks that's what they're counting on. I mean, they don't have a retirement set aside. I mean, it's the equity in a home is a big deal. It's a huge deal as you get older.
Yeah. And so that leads me to our brand new program that we're starting called Home.
Okay.
It's housing outreach, mentorship, and empowerment. It's to help people who are thinking about transitioning to a smaller home or a different living situation from maybe a big family home
Sure.
that they shared with their kids, and to help them walk through that process with a mentor that can help them develop their plan of action and give them information and resources. So
Sure.
right now we're looking for some mentors who would be volunteers that have gone through a housing transition that might be willing to help someone else.
Okay. Because I suppose that housing transition, that could be, like you said, downsizing to a smaller house that you're going to buy. It could be renting a condo or apartment. It could be assisted
Senior
living,
living
right?
or
Senior
senior
living or
living.
yep.
I mean,
yep,
it
something
even
like
could
that.
be like carpentry changes.
Sure.
You know, maybe your house is 90% there, but you have front steps. So
Right.
let's figure out a ramp.
Yep.
But I think that's the fun part with the Elder Network is the services. Nobody's forcing them on you,
Sure.
but there are certain things that just hearing and, you know, consuming what the options are kind of stage you in a position that then you can use them when you're ready.
Sure.
Sure, we'd love everybody to have a visitor and a respite service so that the caregivers get a break and help you with your home and help you with your, rides to places. But if you're not ready for that, like just take in what you are
Right.
ready for and know that we're here to help with what.
But that comes back to where we started our conversation was if you build a relationship with another human being, the next step is much easier.
Mm-hmm.
But to break the ice, I assume that's the most, difficult piece,
Mhm.
But so this is obviously you guys are looking for volunteers in all these programs. So I'm going to ask a really tough question, I think here. This is what if you could if we said, okay, in this podcast you can ask for one volunteer, where do you need people the most? What's the
Jerry, you're killing me.
You should see the faces going.
yes.
One.
These faces were made for Spotify. These were made for radio. I'll tell you that. This was not the
This was the daggers to
Yeah.
Jerry's question.
The most. How about that?
Yeah.
For the one volunteer that says yes to everything.
Yeah.
She's right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Olson.
I mean, one of the biggest, I would say, is always transportation, especially to get people to their healthcare appointments because, if they've got a condition that they need medical care for, it's really stressful. If they are missing appointments, they can't get their blood draws, they can't get the medications or the diagnosis they need. That's so important. We have people that, they're on dialysis and they're struggling sometimes getting reliable transportation.
Yeah, and you can't skip that. That's not dialysis. My mother went through that for the last 4 years. She was with us, and you don't skip those. You don't.
Life and death.
Yeah, she was very lucky to have my dad just by her side the whole time. And at the end, for him, 10 years later, more than that, 14 years later, but that was his choice. They gave him, he had pneumonia, and they told him they messed around back and forth, and finally said, we need to put you on dialysis. And he said, nope, I'm not doing it. He said, I watched my wife on that for 4 years, and they were like, well, if you don't do dialysis, you have 20 days left. And he's like, oh. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, well, you better call my kids.
Yeah.
That was his answer. And he was very matter of fact. He acted kind of surprised, like, oh, 20 days. And he said, and his doctor said, maybe 21. That's the best you can hope for. And he's like, well, you better call my kids then. You better get me a phone.
But he had lived experience.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. He literally made it 20 days on the nose. And he made that choice. And
it was his choice.
it was his choice. And I was the executor. And I don't even, the sad part is, I'm one of 5 kids. Well, there's 4, but 5. We'll call it 5.
Yes.
Yeah. But I literally don't talk to 3 of them. So after this, because I was the executor, and they were like, well, fix this. It's like, it is fixed. He chose.
Mm-hmm.
He made his choice. And they're like, well, you have the power. I'm like, and why do you think I have that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not the one telling someone else to go against his wishes. This is what, and when he made me the executor and of his, and in the living will and the power of attorney. So that's thank you. Power of attorney. He apologized to me when he did it. He's like, and I was like, You don't need to apologize to me. He goes, not yet. And I mean, my dad was very real, and he was one of the nicest people. I mean, he was my hero. There's no question. And I mean, I was adopted, so he had 4 kids, and the youngest was 16, and then I came along and they adopted me. So I mean, they did not need that headache at that stage in life. So I mean, they were my mom and dad were wonderful people, but yeah, my dad was just like, I said, you don't need to apologize. I owe you guys everything, whatever I can do. And he's like, yeah, I don't have to apologize yet. You wait. And he's like, I know this family. You wait.
But he also knew you would follow through with his wish.
Yep.
And that may have
And
been a
honor
big
him.
reason, why he picked you. Like,
Yep.
what
He
a
was right. It was 3 out of 4 won't even talk to me after that. And then, especially once he went into the true decline in the last few days. I mean, he died on day 20, but he was gone, a couple days before that.
Yeah.
And once that happened, then my siblings were asking, the doctors, well, it's not too late. And they're like, well, no, it's not too late. And they're like, okay, well, now he needs someone to make that decision for him. So now you can do it. So it went right to the last day of them still going, now it's on you. And so it's like, so if you let him go, that's on you. It's like,
I
I
couldn't
guess it
sleep
is.
at night, though.
No.
Violating
No.
the choice that you knew was what he
No.
made.
No, that's right. You have to do I mean, so many things in life aren't easy.
right.
So you just have to come to terms with that. And that's where I would assume, like I say, most of your folks that you're helping are welcoming it. Because I know we kind of painted a picture a little earlier of the few that might not, be looking forward to it. And I got to believe that it's not that way the most of the time. That I mean, these people are thankful that you're there and
I think it
appreciate
depends how much the memory care comes into play, because they may,
Oh, sure,
in a lucid day know that they like this, but in other states,
sure.
who are you and why are you here?
Mhm.
But I think it gets back to early family planning meetings where everybody pre-illness or at the beginning of something can say how they feel, and then you respect each other
Right.
and do it that way.
And hear it directly from the older adult,
Right.
Yeah.
what they wish, because that's the most important thing. And sometimes they've got to hear it right from the source.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I'll say, and especially, your story, Jerry,
Mhm.
is that if you ask your parents, anybody, I think they would say to you that the greatest gift that they are giving you is your sibling.
Mhm.
And so most parents would want their families to respect and embrace each other when they've passed.
I did mention I was adopted, right?
Yeah.
So that 9 out of 10 thing, number 10. I'm in that 10th slot. I think that was not my greatest gift, but
Family is family. It doesn't
Family's-
matter if it's blood or
Yeah,
not.
yep,
You're in. Sorry.
Yep. My ex-wife was always blood is thicker than water. She loved saying that. I was like, I didn't pick them. And so her and I we did have a different opinion on that. I always told her, I said, my friends, I chose them. So the family, we roll the dice, and the ones we really like, we got lucky. That's great. And like I said, my parents, I would do anything for them, period. And at the end of the day, even with my siblings, if they really needed something, and they could turn the leaf, I would be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably rub their nose in it a little bit, but
To be human, right?
to be human, that's right. To be human, we all have our flaws. So yeah, yes, I can admit.
But I think, when you're talking about these things too, and like that you were mentioning, life is full of tough decisions,
It is.
right? And sometimes we meet folks who kind of feel like the caregiving role or responsibilities is just kind of dumped in their lap.
Mhm.
Maybe because they're the only local person,
Right.
or maybe they are the only child, or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say I think we have like 6 of our staff are all certified as caregiver consultants.
What is
Right?
that?
And
What
so
is that?
really what that is helping people through those difficult
Okay.
moments in their life, whatever that is. It's having that sit down one-on-one and having them really bare their soul to, this is really hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing.
And
Or
don't be
I don't want
ashamed.
this.
Yeah, and don't be ashamed
You
of
know?
struggling with making the choices.
Mhm.
That's I think a spot. For me, it wasn't a struggle because I mean, it was a clear choice on his part. He made that part easy,
Mhm.
you know. Now carrying it out, not so easy at that point with the outside, influence is what I'm getting at. And that's but the comment you made, I couldn't sleep at night if I had gone against that. And that was one of my siblings, that was his thing was, when he passes, this is on you. So he was trying to keep me from sleeping at night on the other side.
Yeah.
And I said, that's that's not how this works.
It is on me. I did what he wanted me
Right.
to do.
That's yep, exactly. That's exactly what I said. This is, it's like, that's not how I'm going to view this. This, I didn't give him pneumonia. And he, all the other health issues, pneumonia itself wasn't enough, but he had other problems, and that put him over the edge. And it's like, I didn't do that, and he didn't do that. This is the way the world works. This is life and death.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, when he told me what to do, he didn't mince words. He wasn't confused. It wasn't there was no mental clarity, mental acuity issues at all. So I said, now that's, so at that point I can sleep at night because I know that I did exactly what he wanted done. I carried it out. That was the job. Back to the old, you had one job, well, that's what I had. That was, so you do it right. And it's not easy. And nobody said it, he didn't say it. This is like, he didn't tell me it was going to be easy. He apologized.
I was just gonna
You
say
know?
he pretty much told
He
you that,
knew what it
oh,
was
it's gonna
gonna
be
be.
tough afterwards or even during this, but
Yeah.
he obviously knew you could handle it.
That's what he said. That's
And he
actually, yeah, it
trusted
was,
you to not go back,
Yeah.
on his word and what he wanted, and that's
to me, it was probably the
That's
biggest
love.
compliment I've ever gotten from anyone in my entire life was that you got this.
Yeah.
That he trusted me with that.
Mhm.
So but with that being said, there, at that point, there's, my wife, she was ex-wife at that time, but we kind of came back together a little bit just talking about this because she was very fond of my dad too. He was very good to her, and but and she said, I couldn't take the pressure. I don't know how you do it. And it's like, well, it's not pressure. It's, I have one job.
Yeah.
All I have to do is, I know what he wanted, and whenever someone argues with him, I just have to listen, be semi-polite, and go, no.
Yeah. But I think and that's the part I like about Elder Network is it's not just our aging population, it's our caregivers.
Right.
Because it is a tough journey. Like you may know exactly what your person wants you to do, but then when emotions get high, now I'm like, just
But you're
kidding,
helping,
I don't want to lose you, or
but you're
some of
helping
those
so
things.
many people. I mean, by helping Grandpa, his kids, you're taking weight off their shoulders. If his children are his caregiver, but they may not be, there may be other caregivers involved. Friends, family. You're taking a burden off all these people while you're helping someone. I mean, you're helping other people by helping other people. I mean,
That's the goal.
Yeah.
well,
Right?
but I mean, that's
Really
magic.
is.
I mean, that's real magic. I mean, because so many times in life, to do the good thing, do the right thing, you have to choose that lesser of two evils to get there. And here, that's not the case at all. It's just a matter of, I get to do something really cool for them because I'm doing something really cool and helpful for this guy or this gal. That's special, really. I mean, truly, that's got to be so rewarding.
It is.
It is.
Truly
That's why
is.
we're still here.
Okay, so I'm full of tough questions. I think maybe I'm trying to be good at this, but this for all four of you, well, of course, maybe not for you because you have a day job and you're a volunteer in here, but still, could you guys envision yourselves doing something else? Especially after 18 years, especially could you picture yourself, and not that I'm trying to take anybody away from Elder Network, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, could you envision doing something else?
Not for me. I've done many different jobs and roles over my time, and I think all of them came together to give me what I needed to do this job. And I really enjoy it. I have a fabulous team, and we do such good work.
Yeah.
And I do something different every day, and a lot of new challenges. And
Not that cookie cutter, punch in,
right.
go through the motions, punch out.
And
Yeah.
just to see, when people tell us, I don't know where I would be without Elder Network, or you gave me my joy back, or, you know, you
How many times a
saved me
week?
from eviction.
How many times a week do you guys cry? That's what I want. I was like, I mean, these are amazing stories. This
And we
is
worry about our people, and, you know, we brainstorm with each other when it's a difficult situation to try to figure out a little something that might help. Um, we're your neighbors, you know, we're
Right.
in community. I can't tell you how many times Kate knows everybody.
Sometimes do.
And Holly and I know a lot of people, and I've filled in, you know, I don't go out and work with clients a lot, but I swear to you, I'll get a file, look at it and go, oh my goodness, I know this person. I worked with them here, or they and I were together at this. And so I walk in and, you know, it's wonderful for both of us that,
Bet.
you know, your neighbor's coming to try and give you some help.
That's pretty cool.
Here's where I'll co-host where we have tiers.
Yeah.
Funding is a disaster. I mean, it's always decreasing, state,
I bet.
federal grants, and those different things. And then, so we're always looking for how to have sponsorship or how to have things around the events that we do have in the community that, you know, may pull in not only new funding, but new clients or new volunteers or new things. So it's encompassing. So, I mean, we have an annual gala in September. We have worked with Tierra Loco last year and now again this year for their $5 5K. Winona, there's a jazz event coming up. So it's just the men of Pax Christi have always been very good to us, and you know, a dinner that they send money our way. So it's those things like getting creative around how do you keep the lights on
Sure.
when it seems like every time you write a grant, they're like, yeah, maybe, but there's just not that money in, you know.
You're fighting to prove. You're fighting to prove.
Yeah.
You know that what you're doing is making a difference.
Sure.
And there's so many great agencies out there making a difference, and
Yeah.
we're all
Fighting for the same money.
yeah,
Yeah.
we all want the same bucket, right?
Right.
And so it's like it's really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think all of us, you know, I think people who work in nonprofit life do it for the paycheck of the heart,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, and they to
But you
their
still have bills to
core
pay.
they know
Yeah.
that what they're doing is making a difference. And you're right, we all still
Yeah.
have bills too. I remember a couple years back when my youngest, who's now 23, was graduating, and I was trying to figure out a new way to recruit young people.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that in the small town that we were in, they have a job fair. And I said, why? I'll go. I remember showing up. I was the only nonprofit. And I asked the kids, you know, they're seniors. I said, do you know what a nonprofit is? Yeah, you work for free. No, let me not, you know, I mean, it was really interesting. They had no clue, no idea. And my son's like, no, my mom gets a paycheck. Not a really big one, but she gets a paycheck, you know, and it was like, I had to educate him before the event, because you just don't talk about what is working with a for-profit versus what is it like working for a nonprofit. And so people just don't know. I mean, we get a lot of people, oh, so you're a nonprofit. Oh, so you must have services for free. Sorry, no. I mean, we try really hard, you know, to keep our costs low, and that's why we do as many grants. I think we apply, I don't know, 30 plus a year.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep so busy with just trying to bring in different avenues of money. But yeah, I think it's just, I mean, all what we do is educate, just on how to, you know, navigate life, how to take care of yourself, what happens when things aren't going quite as you anticipated, you know, what services are out there. And we hear that all the time. I had no idea there were so many services.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're right. I mean, you don't look for a new fridge until yours is starting to go on the fritz, right? It's like, of course, you weren't looking for any of this until you needed it. But sometimes we meet people that they probably needed it 2 years ago, and they let it get so far that now they're in crisis coming to us. That's where we have tears, because we're like, we can't help them fast enough.
Sure.
And that's really hard for us to see.
Yeah. And so
Well,
we work really hard to also do education and to help people learn early and plan
yeah.
early for a wonderful aging process.
Well, I
So
mean
we
that.
teach aging mastery programs. So teaching people who maybe aren't even retired yet, what else besides getting your finances in order do you need to have a purposeful, rich, in community life?
Leave a legacy that
And
you like, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and we teach dementia friends to like organizations like dental offices and healthcare. I've even done it in prisons to help and restaurants to help people feel more comfortable interacting with people with dementia so that we are a
Sure.
dementia and age friendly community. So we do a lot of education for everybody, not just older adults.
Sure.
And lately, I've been doing what I would call long-term care planning with people. A lot of times people will say, well, um, we don't know what we don't know,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so they'll come to talk to me because we can then have those conversations. And I always think it's interesting. Most of them have done the things they need to do, like their will and their power of attorney and their healthcare directive, but some have not.
Sure.
And other things, right?
Yeah.
They know what their finances are, they know how long it's going to last them, things like that. Many have long term care insurance. Um, but so I can just help them to understand those pieces if they're confused or if they have any concerns about it. And then, make a plan for
Right.
how they can do other things. And I have found, at Elder Network, I because I am a free voluntary contribution service in our community, um, I get everyone from your homeless person to people with a lot more means. And I think it's interesting because people with means are used to asking, "Oh, what is this? What do I owe you,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
for this?" And I'm like, "Well, you don't owe me anything except if you find it a valuable service, it would be great if you could give a donation." And it is great because people are generous,
Sure.
when we tell them that. But I think we just need to say it more, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And share it more that every
Well,
dollar counts.
right.
If you, and we have great opportunities to do that. Like, you can be a sustaining donor. I had an amazing experience a month or two ago where a couple came in basically for this long term care planning. And he said, sort of a joke too. He said, "Yeah, well, if I become a sustaining member, then I get extra, like push up on that wait list, right? When I really need to." But and, but but he wanted to make a difference
Right.
Mhm.
in something that was making a difference,
Right.
and so what a
Be
gift.
part of it.
Yeah,
part of the
exactly.
solution.
I
I
think
mean,
so.
Well, and
Yeah.
yeah.
sometimes the timing of things, like we've got, the Mayo Clinic or bank, they'll do like a match.
Oh, sure.
So my church ladies, when they do a donation every year, we try to line it up to when it was a match. So instead of it being
Right. So it doubles
five
up.
hundred
Yeah.
dollars, it's $1,000 or whatever. So
Yeah.
some of those things is just creative timing, if
Yeah.
you will.
So we had talked about this a little bit when we first sat down off air, but like events, your gala coming up, those are all fundraisers. What for the people that are listening to this or watching this, how can they help with events or the gala or what? I mean, give us something. Let's use this a little bit to help raise awareness, which hopefully leads to donations or something to keep you guys moving. Take the
Sure.
space of the place of some of those grants that aren't necessarily there. And I mean, let's be honest. We should mention we're in 2026 right now. It's May, and Minnesota, where we live. I mean, the finance on a lot of stuff is literally falling apart with all the fraud. The ropes, the belt is getting tightened everywhere. So I've got to believe that's going to affect you guys.
Well, we just had that conversation. The
Yeah.
nonprofits are likely not the bad guys.
Right.
but
you're gonna suffer
the
from it.
legwork of proving that has been
Right.
tough.
Yeah.
So the gala is typically the third Saturday in September. That's
Okay.
kind of been our running thing. So this year it's September 19th. The happy hour starts at 5. The dinner and event starts at 6. This year it's Dr. Leitner, and she's going to communicate about the power of play. that you're
Yeah.
never too old to bring an element of play into your life and kind of add that,
That joy.
fun and enjoyment to your life. So it's fun for us because we're pivoting a little bit. So it's not just, the flowers in the middle of the tables.
Right.
It's going to be games. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be that. So I guess as far as support around the gala, we of course are looking for sponsors. We're looking to fill the seats at the event. Each seat is, I think the ticket is $105 currently in the early bird specials. Um, but then also, there's if a corporate thing, we could do a corporate upgrade and kind of get your name out there as a shout out, or donate a live auction or a silent auction item. All of those things grow in funding for our largest fundraising event of the year. Terra
It's a
Loco
Great
is
way to get your name out
right,
there.
right. Terra Loco is, I'm trying to remember, June 29th. So that's, a month away.
Sure.
It's just a $5 donation at Terra Loco, and the proceeds go then to our nonprofit.
And it's a fun run, walk and roll, and come and get some ice cream donated to us by Culver.
Mm-hmm.
So do you invite, I live here in Storeville, so like we have our pizza ranch. And like with the community effort, they'll do tip night. Are you guys familiar with that? So different things like that businesses could do, or like the Terra Loco. Do you guys invite businesses to approach you with ideas, or if they want to throw an event to help sponsor you or help you away from like the things you're already doing? Are you guys open to
Oh yeah,
new
Absolutely.
things? So
in
That's
fact,
how this fun run with Terra Local came about.
okay,
mhm.
okay. What is her name that owns Terra Loco? You drawn a blank.
Well, the only reason Tiffany is who we
Tiffany.
talked to because
Okay.
it's
Yes. Well, her and I were.
name.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Yeah, because her and I were in a networking together,
Okay.
years ago. Yeah, she was just a sweetheart. I mean,
Yeah,
just very knowledgeable. Yep, I really liked her. I haven't seen her for years.
Well, and they're
But, yeah.
amazing because like they'll interview you and make a little reel, that goes along with your event, and they do a lot more than just like host you as the.
Well, this is a great example, though. I've changed the way I live a little bit.
Yeah,
and
now
there's some-
you're running, so you're gonna come.
Well,
Huh?
I'm not running. Matter of fact, I had X-rays on my knee this afternoon. That's what I did right before I got here. So the running part, I still have plenty of excuses to stay away from
all
that.
right.
But I did buy new shoes for the gym, and I didn't even think of going to Terra Loco. I just haven't. But now I will, because I'll be ready for another
They
pair.
could have watched you on the treadmill and told you what shoes are making
In between
your
the
knee
giggles.
feel the way they feel.
In between the giggles, they would give me some advice. That's yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. No, but I would encourage any of our listeners. I mean, this podcast is geared towards small business owners. I mean, I would venture to guess the vast majority of our listeners are small business owners. So if anyone wants to collaborate with Elder Network, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? Somebody give me a.
You can give us a call at Elder Network. We answer our phones live. 507-285-5272.
Call Kate.
Or you can go on our website, which is www.elder-network.org, and you can see all of our events, our educational classes we offer, our newsletter. You can learn more about all of the different programs that we offer. There's a lot of information out there.
All ways to volunteer.
Yep. There's a DL list to hit, so you make sure people get the email and
Sure.
send your note how you feel.
And if somebody wants to sponsor us, we like to give back to those sponsors as well. So we'll offer like a Caregiver 101 or a Dementia Friends information session and we let the sponsor pick, that would be helpful for their staff or their clients, whichever they are interested in, so that they're learning too.
You bet.
That's really important to us.
I was just going to say, I remember doing one years ago at Mayo Clinic for working caregivers.
Oh,
So the higher ups, I'm going to say, were looking for ways to support their employees that were caregiving. And so, we came in and talked about that and how employers can be supportive and what they can do to recognize that sometimes, as a family caregiver, you can't maybe work your typical shift
Sure.
because you're helping somebody, get
Right.
ready for the day, or you got to go home at lunch and make sure they've had their meds, or, whatever. And so I remember, doing even things like that for businesses to kind of help keep their employees so they don't feel like they have to quit that
Right.
job because they're caregiving. But how can you embrace them to still work for you in a productive way,
Right.
right? Without maybe getting the 20,000 phone calls
Sure.
that are
Right.
keeping them from
Mm-hmm.
concentrating. I mean, so that was a really good one
Yeah. that's a
to
great
as
idea.
an example.
Sure. Great
But
idea.
even the collaboration, right? Like, so working with our banks, because unfortunately our aging population tend to be defrauded.
Yeah.
So there's, those types of connections, or like Jake from our Tuesday group, he's looking to, help with what is the right insurance. So more of an education around, I don't care
Sure.
who you're getting insured by, but do
Right.
you realize you should have long-term care insurance, or some of these pieces are missing. So even those collaborations, though they may not be of financial, it's a good way to support our population in different educational terms that they may
Sure.
need to learn about.
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
Hence the
we've
name network.
yes.
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 I wanna say that.
Yes. That's a good point. Well, we're about an hour and 10 minutes already into this. So, any last thoughts? We can just go around the room. We start with Kathy if you want. Any? Oh, start
Go the
there.
other way.
Go the other way.
Yeah, I just want to say that, for those individuals who have never heard of Elder Network before, just know that we're here for you when you're ready. And I think we all feel that we always want to be an option for somebody. And so, um, for folks that can financially contribute to help keep our doors open, we appreciate it very
Absolutely.
much, because we want to be available for folks who don't have
Mm-hmm.
very much, maybe.
Right.
There was a phrase at one time that said, the very old need very little, but that very little, they need very much. So sometimes
I like
we
that.
may only
Yeah.
be holding or helping with a very small portion of their big picture, but man, that little bit might be just enough to keep them going for another day.
Right.
And so that's, I really think, at the core of why I stay. 18, if you would have said to me, you're going to be here for 15 years, 16, I'd have been like, I've never seen anywhere longer than 5.
Yeah.
But this is not a job to me.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This fills my cup as much as I hope I'm filling other people's cup.
Sure.
And so
Well, that's
with
why I
that
asked that
kind of a
earlier. Because
career,
you feel that in the room, and I hope this comes across well in the podcast itself to the listeners, because it just to be in this room it's inspiring tonight, just honestly, and it's been, I've enjoyed this one a lot, so I really thank you guys for coming. Kate, how about you?
Yeah, thank you for having us. And I think um, my takeaway is that if you don't know what Elder Network does or how we might be able to help you or your parents or your neighbor, and you want to know, give us a call and talk to me. I can tell you all the things we have. You can tell me a few things about, what your needs are, and you'll know something that can help you down the road.
Yeah.
Or I do a lot of outreach, and so one of the things I do is I sit at 125 Live.
Oh, sure.
Once a month now. Started out doing it more when people didn't know who I was, but now once a month works. And it's really amazing because I will occasionally have people say, I don't need your services. I said, I know. I'm not here for
I'm happy
you.
with you.
Right, exactly. But I'm here because you guys are the movers and the shakers, and you are caring for other people. And so take some resources, give it to the older lady who seems to have a problem getting a ride everywhere she goes,
Yeah.
or every time she calls you.
Right,
And so then she has an option.
Right.
And,
Yep.
And do this and do that. So I think the thing is we don't know if we don't ask, if we don't explore, if we don't see what we can do, either to meet our own needs. And we love volunteers, so come and help us too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I would just say that if the listeners learned something today or were inspired by what we were saying, is meet your neighbors, say hello to the older adults in your neighborhood or your, service organization or your church community.
Yeah,
And
don't look at your shoes when you see your neighbor across the hall or down the
Mm-hmm.
street or at the mailbox, right? Right? Wave, say hello, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I go to the gym every morning, and it's literally the same 8 or 12 people that are there as the time that I go in the day. I talk to like 3 of them. And it's almost like you feel like they're almost family because you see them literally every day,
Every day.
but you don't talk to them. I mean, we're there for a purpose. You're doing things, but you're not, when you're at home getting the mail and the neighbor's out, you're not doing things. I mean, you're getting the mail. Say hello. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Just wave. A little smile goes a long way.
and then share what you learned. Oh, I heard that there's this resource, you should check it out, and help spread the word.
Yeah.
So that we never hear again that, oh gosh, I wished I'd heard about you 6 months ago.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I just had this conversation with a very similar, I mean, it pivots a little bit. It was more about business, but with a young entrepreneur that was at my shop today. And we're going to do lunch sometime soon. But what I was telling him, we were talking about small business referral group,
Mm-hmm.
which Elder Network is part of. And he said he had visited last week. It was Gabe.
Oh, okay.
So, and he had visited earlier this week, I should say Tuesday. And anyway, he was like debating on whether he should join, whether he should. I was like, well, I said, in the beginning, you're going to give kind of a commercial, right? And you're gonna talk to the people, at the people in the room. And he's a jeweler. So you're gonna want them to come to you and say, hey, my wife would like this, my husband would like that, my daughter would like this, my mother, whatever. And I said, and that's great. And I said, that justifies you being in the room, paying the dues,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I said, the magic doesn't happen until you understand that you don't talk at these people. You're not giving them a sales pitch. You're training your sales staff. Because once you start to do that, then those direct referrals where it's just me sitting in the room buying something from you, that's great, right? I mean, that builds a relationship, that all helps. But the magic happens when you start training me to tell my next door neighbor, to tell my coworkers, to tell my mom. And now these people that aren't in the room are calling you because I was talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing we're talking about here, is if you learned something today, if you were inspired, as Kathy said today, talk about it outside. We'd love to have you come on board, right? And help.
Absolutely.
Whether it's,
Mm-hmm.
but the magic happens when the people who want to come on board and help discuss it with other people, and people that didn't hear this podcast come in because of someone who did.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the magic happens.
Absolutely.
And there's so many ways to look at that, whether it's business, whether it's family, whatever. But that's the, so I tell my kids this all the time growing up, my employees, there's no middle ground. There's no innocent bystander. You are either part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to just sit here and listen to the podcast, go, that's great for someone else. You're part of the problem. I'm way more harsh than you ladies. So I hope you can appreciate that. But really be, and it feels really good to be part of the solution. And that's, because especially in your business, I'm going to call it a business, when you're taking care of the aging, all of us are going to get there.
We're all aging.
Right.
We're all
Yeah.
aging, right? I mean, this is not, we're not going to, hopefully we don't get away from that, right? I mean, that's the idea, is to age and to
As
be
well
here a
as you
while,
can.
as well as you can, right? And as long as you can. And so to think that you'll never need help, this affects you. It may not affect you today, or affect me today, but you can affect someone else. And like you said, Holly said it, I love that, that it kind of reminds me, the analogy of having a dog. It's like, your dog is a small part of your life. You're their everything.
Mm-hmm.
That you are their everything. And
Yeah.
it doesn't take much to make his tail wag. It's like, just give him that, positivity.
But I think that's the joy, I guess, I find in Elder Network, is we have a spot for everything. Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to donate?
Right.
Do you want, your family to have support? Are you somebody that needs support so you can take a break from supporting your family? and all the pieces are there, and it's open to all ages. Like when I started, Jariah was what, 3 or 4 maybe,
Yeah.
and she's
Little.
17 now. And my biggest takeaway, which I never in my life expected, was that the way she interacts still with somebody in a wheelchair or somebody that, needs the door held or they're slower in moving, she gained from our very first connection because our first person was in a wheelchair. So she had to
Sure.
be super conscious of that, not even knowing that she was aware of it, but
Right.
she's a whole different kid with older people that I think she ever would have been had she not been a part of,
Yeah.
the younger age
That's
I
volunteer.
feel like too, we want to encourage actually seeing people.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
We see you,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we had a commercial a couple years ago, and it resonates with so many. And I think it was like during COVID or right after.
Yeah.
But and if you haven't seen it, Jerry,
Yes. Yes.
I'll just give you a little preview before
Okay.
we leave. But an elderly lady was out in the community, out in like a park, and she was walking along and enjoying things. And every person who came by, she kind of wanted to engage just in something, and they would wave but keep going. And she ended up sitting on a bench, and a young mom came and sat next to her, and they started to chit chat. And then the kids come up, come on, mom, come on, mom. And they pulled her away really fast. And the older lady just sat there and felt very lonely,
Sure.
you know. And our point is, we want to see everybody.
Right.
We want to recognize you're there. We want to, even if it's for a few moments,
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying, say hi to that person at the end of the driveway, or at least wave, because to feel invisible
Yep.
is an awful feeling. And I think when COVID hit, and for many of us that had to step back from our active lives
Yeah.
of being in an office and being surrounded by people, and now maybe they were working from home or whatever the situation, it was like, wow, this is really quiet. This is kind of lonely. I
Yeah.
don't know if I like this. I had a client that we still serve today, and she said, that's my life every day.
I noticed nothing.
She said, I haven't left the house
Yeah.
in 13 months. I don't talk to anybody but you.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's really powerful stuff when you recognize if we can at least just see each other for
Mhm.
where we're at and acknowledge that humanness in us,
Yeah.
that just goes such a long way. And I think about that when Tiffany, you were talking about Jariah and just her awareness of things. She sees people
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because of the experiences that you provided her as a young person. And that's maybe one of the things I would love Elder Network to have an opportunity to do in the future is do more generational education. I have learned so much through a caregiver workshop that I've been a part of, but just the communication component, and how if we can start teaching young people how to communicate effectively, saying what you want without being aggressive,
Yeah.
using those I statements versus you. Man, I tell this all the time at my house. I mean, my family's like, oh, here she goes again. But honestly, it's like, if I want you to hear me, I have to say it in a way that isn't shaming you.
Right.
And it isn't making you feel bad because I want something that you're not giving me. But, so I think communicating and teaching elementary school kids how to have a voice
Yeah.
without it becoming violent or physical or judgmental, and saying, you know what, we don't think the same, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We're on opposite ends of a spectrum here, and that's okay, because we take those same skills as a kid and we bring them through our life. And eventually, like you said, we're all going to age.
Yeah.
So we're meeting older adults now that never really learned maybe those skills, and they have a hard life.
Well, and I mean, and a lot of us, when we were younger, the grandparents. I mean, again, I was adopted. My parents were considerably older. They were old enough to be my grandparents. By blood. I mean and so I didn't really grow up with grandparents. They were gone by the time I was around. And it's ironic when you guys came in, there was a lady upstairs with my wife. That's her mom. And on the back patio was our daughter-in-law with our 2-year-old granddaughter. So we had 4 generations in the house when you guys walked in tonight. So, and actually Sharon, which is my wife's mom, her mother is still alive in Florida. So we have 5 generations available, but it was, but yeah, there was 4 generations in the house when you guys
Yeah,
came here
That's
tonight. So it's,
awesome.
yeah, I never really thought about it until you said the generational thing. I was like, yeah, how many have we got? It's like, oh, we've got 5. It's like, there are 4 over here tonight. I mean, literally, it was, so it's kind of, that is kind of neat, so yeah. And um, for the audience, again, Tiffany was very kind at nicing up what I'm going to dumb down a little bit for everyone. She said there's so many opportunities. What that means is you have no reason not to call Elder Network and give some help. There's no reason not to. Again,
For everyone.
yes, something
Gotta
for everyone.
roll. Absolutely.
That's right. We Elder Network will allow you to be the solution in many different ways.
You want to volunteer?
So
We got
yes,
it.
yes. How
Client,
about
we
that?
got it.
How
When you
about that?
donate, we got it.
hopefully things that they haven't thought about.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, this was a lot of fun, and it was more inspirational than fun. Honestly, which is great. I mean, I don't get that very often, so that's pretty cool. So I really thank you guys. This has been a great podcast, and if there's anything else,
No, we
Okay.
appreciate you
Thank
very
you
much.
so
Yeah,
much.
and thanks for
Absolutely,
giving us
absolutely.
anything else. We'll come back for round 2.
yeah, absolutely. Well, like I say, I'd love to offer up the studio to do some, videos for marketing and things for the gala and some of the events, things like that if you need it. So
That'd be wonderful.
Thank
I'd
you.
love to have you back.
All
Awesome.
right.
Well, everybody, this was episode 54. Like I said in the beginning, Elder Network. One more time before we go. Best way to get a hold of you guys.
Give us a call at 507-285-5272.
Okay.
Or
Awesome.
www.elder-network-network.org.
This is why I didn't look at Tiffany when I asked that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks, ladies, again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.